Hello folks, and welcome to day one of our Healing Heartbreak group healing. And honest to God, that I've got to say has been the most peaceful channeling for a group healing I've ever experienced. It's so hard to put into words what I was shown. The main part of it was just the need for people to have space held. Just the need to just be still, to sit in stillness, to sit in love. Just the need to process and make sense of. Not to drag things out. And I mean, there was lots of releasing, don't get me wrong, but it was a peace. It was a peace. It was serenity. It was about making sense of the old stories. And we keep coming back to the old stories, and we do when we're healing. As I was coming to the end of this morning's channelings, one of the messages that came through was looking back at our old traumas, stories, etc., the old heartbreaks, is to pay homage to it, to pay respect to it, to not stop trying to push it down, doubt it, overanalyze it, to actually just respect it, to be able to look back at something that broke your heart, be it a personal level, collective level, global level, whatever it was, be it bereavement, be it all of it, to pay homage to it, to respect it. To respect it as you would a book. This is a tarot book from the tarot deck that I'm going to be using. You know, when we've finished reading a book, are we going to put that book back on the shelf and respect it? Or are we just going to chuck it to one side or deny we've ever even read that book? And that's interesting as well. Bookworms will know what I mean by this. If you save books or revisit your favourite stories, it's hard because trauma is not your favourite story. Trauma isn't your favourite story. But every time you revisit a trauma, it's given us an opportunity to go to another level. And it can get really overwhelming when a memory comes up from the past. Why is this coming up again? I am sick of this. I've done therapy. I've done healing. I've done all of this. Everything that can be imaginable. I've gone through the moon cycles with this. But if we could actually go in that moment, right, wow. This isn't coming up to hurt me. It's not coming up to frighten me. It's coming up because here is an opportunity for me to deep dive and to also level up. But also being able to allow yourself to feel it, to make space in your life and your day to feel something. You know, so say you're rushing around cleaning and all of a sudden a song comes on, up it comes, rather than, oh, I'm going to carry on cleaning, I'm going to turn that music off, is to just stop and feel it. To just stop and feel it. And then honour it, pay homage to it, respect it. Trauma can be like an irritating child. You know, we're not an irritated. When a child starts to become irritated, I remember years ago, I've told this story before, I was sat on a bus and this child, no judgment to the child, but from getting on to getting off that bus, the child wanted to know everything. Mummy, what's that? Mummy, why is that car doing that? Mummy, why? The child was just trying to explore. But what didn't help it was the mother wasn't really helping the child. Well, she was on the phone, etc. So the child was getting more and more needy and more, mummy, mummy, mummy. Trauma can be like that, you know. When we try and ignore it, either doom scrolling or whatever, or just, you know, distraction, it gets in our face until we look at it. That's interesting. I'm also caring as well, until humanity really looks at its wounding, collectively and individually, and really look at it, we're going to keep finding ourselves in those cycles. So the deck that we're going to be using today is called the Pastoral Tarot, and it's by Lynn Arajo. Probably said that wrong. The artwork is created by Lisa Hunt. So if you can't make out what I've just said with the surname, look for the artist Lisa Hunt. And that's it there. That's the book, because the box is just there. Anyway, I think you'll like this deck. So 3 cards for those on the Healing Heartbreak group healing. 3 cards for those on the Healing Heartbreak group healing. Ooh, of what's interesting. How many cards have flipped out? So we'll take those. There's 1, 2. 2 cards have flipped out. And we've got the 3 of Pentacles. I'll show you the 2 cards that have flipped out. And we've got the 3 of Wands. Look at that. 3 of Wands card. That's interesting. Like a cactus is prickly. Because I was looking at that card thinking, there's only 1 wand on that card. What are they on about? 3 of Wands. But actually, the cactus is meant to be a 2 wands as well. The cactus for me represents something that is there, that's possibly always going to be there, that's prickly, but we don't have to take it with us. We don't have to. We can leave it in the past in order to embrace the new wand, if that makes sense. And the mountains that he's climbed in that. Also as well, there's a little birdie on top of the wand. Can you see that? Freedom. Interesting as well, we've got that at the bottom under that card, which is the 10 of Wands, which is needing to let those burdens go. So the cards that fell out are interesting because they depict the past and the inner child. Just take a moment to appreciate the artwork of this deck. So the 6 of Cups is about something that has been passed down. So it's, look at that. It's a dad and it's a little girl and he's showing her how to farm and he's passing something down. Let me hold it up so you can, too close, sorry, filming on my phone. That's interesting as well. There's a tub of strawberries that's fallen. So this is an ideal, on the surface it looks idyllic. But when you look further, you know, the tub of strawberries that's fallen, this is about information and knowledge passed down. Now this can be via parents, families, society, but it's about making peace with it. And we've got the butterflies there as well for liberation and freedom. We've also got the 3 of Cups. Very different depiction to the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. I thought there was something outside my house then. Very different to the Radiant Rider depiction of it. This is in a child stuff. This is in a child stuff. Or something representing inner child stuff. That, you know, when spirit look at us, they see us as essence and physical. But when humans look at each other, the first thing we see is the physical, in most cases. Especially when we've not really started to embrace an awakening path or even entered it. And even then, we can still see the physical first. Especially when our triggers are facing us. But this is about a lot of what's coming up with the itchy lip, a lot of what's coming up with the heartbreak is the fact that we've lost sight of each other at soul level. We've lost sight of each other. Maybe there's elements of your past that was joyful, but you've lost sight of that also because of other stuff that's happened. And that's the sad thing about trauma, is that it has been in the past a more profound feeling than love. The energies that we're going into the future, love is going to be the strongest element. But in the dense 3D matrix that we've been in for the past how many God knows years, trauma, pain, it's almost like, somebody could have been a really good friend to you, but they've done one thing that's really triggered you and the whole friendship's wiped out. Somebody that you idolise on the world stage says one thing or does one thing and it wipes it out. That's it, you're dead to me. Whereas going back into this energy where seems a much healthier place to be or thing to do. We've then got the Three of Pentacles. Look at that. Which is about building. He's building something. And it's about support as well, that every single person is playing their role. There's a gentleman up the ladder. There's a gentleman holding the ladder, and there's a female watching and directing. Every single person is needed. So every single person that came into your life to cause chaos, to cause pain, they were actually needed. There was something in their actions, and it's the same for you in other people's lives, that was needed, okay? That was needed to be experienced. A clarifier for that whole reading. Often when you're working on clients, and this has happened for me as well, when you're working with clients that have gone through trauma and you show them a soul contract to do with that person, the look that can come into their eyes of, oh, God, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense of why I needed to go through that in order to, in fact, thank God I went through that, because had they not shown up and fulfilled that, where would I have been? And that's why, going forward, in the past we've not been taught how to deal with trauma, difficulties, heartbreak in the correct way, in a more holistic way. And the consequences of that is what has caused so much generational trauma. But now that we're starting to realise and find out better ways of coping, we're finding new ways of going forward. So clarify for this reading. Yeah, Five of Swords. Look at that. Two birds. It is Five of Swords, isn't it? Yeah. Two birds wanting the same branch, fighting, trying to take each other down. And Four of Pentacles. Look, he reminds me of a man in a pub where they'll go, stop fighting, there's two people fighting, or a woman, stop it. And it's almost like, do you know what? Both of those birds are as bad as each other. Both of those birds in that moment, and it came up. Oh, I do like this deck. But this is, the Four of Pentacles is also about being stuck. But I love the depiction of this because it's almost like separate. And are you going to stay stuck in that energy? And this is, this, I don't want to say this isn't easy, because it feels like there'll come a time when we look back on this and we realise how easy it is. Let's do a parting of the deck. Temperance and balance. Needing to balance the emotions and the waters of the body. I might leave this deck out and use it tomorrow. It's a nice deck actually. It comes with you've got a little bag with it, and it comes in a nice box. Always so you can judge a good deck by its box, like that, with a nice ribbon in it. It's a nice deck actually for journaling. So how can you navigate these 2 days of healing? Be as present as you can. Take some time today to meditate, to journal, to observe what comes up, to observe any parts of the body that are in pain, to observe emotions, to observe dreams and feelings. Observe and allow those as well. Don't try to push it down. Don't try to control it. To give yourself the permission to want to go higher with this and go forward. Because when heartbreak is left unchecked, it becomes a real poison. It becomes a real poison. Years ago I worked with somebody. She was like a temporary receptionist that came, and she was actually all right. She was a nice person. But I think it was coming around Valentine's Day, and there was a conversation about, asked her if she'd got a Valentine. She was with someone, and she went really cold and really, and it was weird. I remember, because I was only young back then, and I was looking at her and I'm thinking, God, it was like a really, and anybody else that had got any Valentines, she kind of, a real coldness came in at the mention of Valentines and love. And I was actually came back into my mind when I was channeling, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to go back and see her life before that coldness came in, to see the young woman or the young girl before whatever it was that came in that brought in that darkness, that heaviness, to a point where the word Valentine's Day brings up, that kind of reaction. Because somewhere in that woman, be it in a previous incarnation or in her current incarnation, was someone that had hope, joys for the future, was someone that was unhurt, that had their dreams. But somewhere along the line, something came in that started that reaction, and it started building up and building up and building up. I'm going to do a parting of the deck because I like this deck. Before I go, parting of the deck. Temperance again, balance. Also as well, where are you getting your sustenance from? Do you know when you go into a gym and there's a tap that you can share? If you're really lucky, they'll have a spout for you to actually put a bottle on it. Or if you're not lucky, it'll be a spout that comes up and you put your mouth on it. I don't use that type of stuff. I'll use the bottle one because I always wonder whose mouth has been over it. And it's the same thing with this. Be careful where you get your information from in relation to heartbreak, in relation to your stories. Be careful of the ones that want to keep you still in pain, that encourage you. You know, the friend that or relative that say you're raging and you ring them up and they're like, come on, you tell them straight, you go in there and you speak your truth and you do this. Or, you know, who are the people in your life that just listen to you and hold space and don't judge and give you advice when you ask for it? Or that try and say to you, actually, I think before you see them again, you just need to calm down. I know they're ringing, don't answer the phone until you've calmed down. Do you see the difference? There is a lot of energy out there, a lot of people that like to encourage your pain, encourage you to keep anchored. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.